I was dancing
Detour
background yeah, so that was also like an interesting time because at some point I didn't go to church because I was like KG was getting boring. So I stayed out for some time, and then now my sister was like I started going to Bapo, and guess what? They dance. I'm like, maximum melodies, my dream.
That is what
I want to get to maximum melodies. So this was like the perfect way to get to maximum melodies. Prove my concept,
why
guys.
we
I can dance.
with those people?
Because they were the thing.
Oh my goodness,
they were the thing. Hey, those guys.
I'd like to know where they are right now. I'll actually Google that.
Yeah, Google that.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Pulpit Podcast. My name is Tracy Ann, and this is episode 11. I am so excited to be here. Yani, it's been, I think, 2 weeks since we filmed last. I don't know. It's been 2 weeks already. Sindio?
Yeah,
it's been 2 weeks. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks. The last time we filmed was on
the public holiday.
Yeah, that public holiday, 21st. So I'm quite excited. You know, as a certified diapa, this is a platform
this is
for
home.
me. This is my duty. This is my job. So I'm excited. Larry, hi. It's good to kind of see you. I'm lying. I'm doing it for the camera. Hi, how are you?
I figured.
You figured, right?
Yeah.
Sasa,
niko poa sana.
uko fiti?
Uko aje?
Niko fiti? How's your 2 weeks been?
My 2 weeks have been very long. I work at night, so hata sahi nina run on 2 hours of sleep. Leo niliset alarm nikaona 1 hour 48 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Niambia, wow.
You're an adult, you know that.
Yeah.
Life has to move on. We really don't care if you slept or not. Bora you
showed up. Introduce guest to Sasa.
Bora you showed up. So thank you for your sacrifice. No one will ever tell you that because we really don't care. So yeah, I think we can. No, wait. Niko na kiti. Niko na kiti after nilipiga kelele. Tumerecord episode 77. Tracy ana kiti ni guest tu na Larry. But wamenitengenezea. Hodari walisikia kilio changu na nimepata kiti, and as you can see it is better than that one. Shida tu ni miguu hazifiki chini, but it's aight. There's beauty in being short. Short lives matter, short people lives matter, short people hoye. So yeah, thanks Hodari for making this sit for me. Thank you for this one that is now a bit old.
So. Tailor-made for you.
Yeah, tailor-made for me.
Aliitwa for measurements.
Tumewadi picture nikaambiwa, Tracy, your seat is ready. I was so excited. Like you should have seen the child in me. I was like, my seat is finally here. So yeah, thank you. Mtaiona sana. Yeah, so now I think we can introduce the guest.
I had something I wanted to say na
imepotea
ndo maana niko hapa na stay akisirudi
1 hour 48 minutes of sleep. So what to introduce guest? Let me do it. So our guest today.
Acha ni introduce.
Okay, sawa.
Acha ni introduce guest wetu.
Sawa. He's a bit too excited for this episode. Please watch ndio ujue ni kwa nini Larry is a bit excited.
So
a bit too excited for this episode. Yeah.
So I edge our viewers.
Yes, keep them on the edge. You might hint it. Hivi usianze kutaja ile Sunday flani. No, hint it hivi tu kidogo. Hivi. Sawa, onjesha kio.
Sitaweza.
Hautaweza?
She can drive. Hi.
Hello.
Today's guest tuko na the fastest female in East Africa. Fastest driver. Mwana anasema East Africa juu hiyo kitu tulikuwa na wasee wa Sudan. Tulikuwa na FSD moja. Tulikuwa na ile ya white na pink rims.
Yeah.
Na kulikuwa na
she's Kenyan, but yeah.
The tasema hiyo off camera.
Unapeana details nyingi.
Lazima nimuite na jina zake zote. Basi introduce.
Our guest today is Doreen Sasaka. She is known to us who are on set, but she's here to share her story with you guys who are at home. Na tumesahau kuambia subscribe. So before we move on, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, and on Songa Play. We're also there. Follow us, support us, continue supporting us. We are at 216 subscribers as at this morning, which is really nice. So thank you for that. But let's continue. Let's grow this channel. Hiya, take 2 of introducing our guest. So her name is Doreen Sasaka. She's here to share her story with you guys. I'm excited to get to know her. So hi Doreen.
Hello.
How are you? Karibu kwenye set yetu. You're looking beauty.
Thank you. I'm loving the t-shirt.
You love
shirt.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yours.
So cool.
It's yours.
Thank you.
Wambe kuna mazuri.
Thank you.
Wakikuja BTP.
Yeah.
Yeah,
also, I
there's
guess you should start selling your merchandise, right?
Waambie.
Mununue.
Put it
T-shirts
down there.
expensive. We're
Yeah.
only selling them at 800 bob, and you can DM us on Instagram for your sizes, and then we will deliver it at your doorstep. Free delivery, not so free, but free delivery. Yeah. So karibu sana kwenye set yetu, tumekutafuta. Na kwambia when Beyond the Pulpit started, your name was among the first guests.
I even have my book in
The
nimeandika.
first people, like must-haves in the first bunch of episodes we are going to film. So it's quite exciting to finally have you here.
Yeah.
I think ulikuwa umeambiwa kutoka kitambo.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I think it's just been called this weekend. I'm like, no. This weekend, no. But yeah, finally, I just had to make sure we make this happen.
Yeah. So thank you for finding the time. We know you're a busy person. You know, you have a lot to do, and we are going to get into that. So, briefly, not describe yourself. Introduce yourself. Who Dorin is, what Dorin does. Yeah, and then we will get right into your story.
All right. So depending on the circles, Doreen in church, Baptist circles, work as well. People know me as Doreen. But then I have this other thing that I do on the side, so people know me as Shlee. So everyone asks, where's Shlee from? And then guys are always like, Ashley. I'm like, no, that's Ashley. So Shlee comes from Shimuli. So my other name is Shimuli. So I just took out the mu. Then we have Shlee. So that's how Shlee came about. So yeah, that's me. I am born again. Love the Lord as my personal savior. I'm also a wife. I
think we can zoom in on the rings.
Yeah. So yeah, I think those are the main things that I think worth noting. I also work in tech, and as a hobby, I do tarmac racing. So those are the 4 main things.
That's such a fancy name of saying I am a risk taker. I love speed.
An expensive hobby.
That's a very expensive hobby.
Yeah.
You've said tarmac?
Tarmac racing.
Okay. Hata sijaisikia kitu kama hiyo, but anyway, we're here to learn. Karibu sana. Huku tumesumbuliwa for some time. Tulete Dorin aongelele magari. I think at some point I'd even said I will not be on this episode. I will let our producer and Larry take over the episode, but well, things work in my favor, don't they? Praise Jesus.
Amen.
Praise Jesus.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. So
Robo Shata.
Good to say that your sister was also on the episode.
Yes, so I'm also a
Big
sister
shout
to Deborah. I think you saw her on the first episode. Also, I'm a daughter.
Yeah.
I'm in a family of 6. Two parents, obviously. 2 sisters and 1 brother. Then also something else. I'm a worship leader. At Car West Baptist Church. So I think I'd left those things out. Also very important. So I shout out to Deborah. Let's see how this goes.
It's gonna be good. I hope alipeleka sifa nzuri za BTP, otherwise haungekuwa hapa. So so let's get into it, Dorin. Brief us in the next 4 minutes. Kuna time pale hamuyoni, but kuna time pale. In the next 4 minutes or so, give us a brief history of how and where you grew up, so that we can pick it from there and get into
how I grew up.
How and where. Yeah, how life was growing up.
I was going to say biologically, the cells just kept growing. Anyways,
we cannot get into those details.
But anyways, so where? So I pretty much grew up in Kaha West. I think when you connect Deborah's story and my story, you'll see like a lot of parallels. But grew up in Kaha West for the longest time. Actually, all my life, I've not known anything other than Kaha West. We were there when like the estate was properly planned to what it is now. So like all those memories remain etched in my mind. was a little kid having concerts at home. When I say concerts here, I mean like I used to love Michael Jackson and George Michael. Probably you guys don't know who George Michael
Yeah,
is,
I personally.
but you know who Michael Jackson is. So we'd set up like concerts and like pretend like I'm a celebrity
Superstar.
musician singing and dancing. Little did I know that this would actually like be part of my life when I grew up. But yeah, grew up a family of folk, as I mentioned earlier, 6, 3 siblings. I was with my sisters for like a long time before my bro came to be. We won't mention like what year he was born, but yeah, I was so excited. I was like, yay, now I get a playmate and like a little kid who I can take care of. But yeah, that was pretty much me. Went to Daniel Stephen, I think Deborah also mentioned. Did my CBC, it's grade 1 to 3, but yeah, as well standard D1 to standard D3, and pre-unit. What else was there?
Nursery.
Baby class, pre-unit.
No, baby
was
class,
nursery.
nursery, pre-unit,
Yes.
and then class 1,
and then
standard
D1, standard D. You
Standard
standard D1,
Kuna
yeah.
nilikuwa inaandikwa STD.
Yes, So standard. So did my I think 4 years there. Then went to Musagitao. Same.
Oh yeah. The boarding where
Boarding
everyone had
school,
to attend.
yes. Standard D4. I was so excited. I think, yeah, I was so, because mostly I was at home with my mom and my dad. My sisters were already in boarding school, so I had literally no one to like hang out with at home. So I was like, yes, I get to go to boarding school. So yeah, same as everyone else in my family, we started boarding school at class 4 or standard 4. Did that all the way to class 8, and then from there was privileged to get a scholarship to Roslyn Academy, which is now like American system of education. So that also was a very interesting time of my life, because coming from a proper standard D8, standard D7 to like now you're in grade 9 with like people from different backgrounds, like totally different backgrounds. All you're seeing is white. You're like, what? And then like my English was from Kikuyu, right? Because Musagita was from is in Kikuyu. So like transitioning from that to now you have to start speaking proper English all the time, no Swahili. I think that was a very interesting change of cultures. So did that for from grade I did grade 8 half year, then went to grade 9 all the way till grade 12, and then from there I went to USIU to pursue further studies. And I happened to do international business. By then, I really wanted to be a lawyer, by the way. Like, I knew I wanted to do law from Boston Legal. Probably you guys don't know Boston
I've heard it
Legal.
from movies.
From movies.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a really cool show. Danny Crane. I was like, yes, I think I could argue my cases. So I was like, yeah, I want to do law, but God had a different plan. So yeah, transition now into international business. So did that for 3.5 years. And that's pretty much how I grew up, and yeah, my years of learning.
I have a question about the transition from Musagitao to Roslyn School.
Yeah.
It's Kenyan system, 844, and now you've gotten into this 26, whatever. I don't know the system. How was that? Aren't the curriculums very, very different? Yeah,
they were. And also the emphasis in 844 is like you have to memorize.
Cramming,
right?
yeah.
But then in this other new system, it's about like, what's your thinking? Like, how can you be able to think through problems? Can you be able to find solutions to stuff? How you're able to interpret like a certain piece of literature and like make it your own? Are you able to interrogate, like for example, if you go back to the independence and like everything that happened, like there was Jomo Kenyatta, there was Oginga Odinga, how did this trajectory change the nation? Kind of like critiquing what happened and how that led up to where we are now. So like it was more around critique and analytical thinking than cramming. But I would have to say like the 844 system set me up perfectly for the American system, because for the American system, like, yeah, I mean, it's critical thinking, but you also have to remember stuff, right? And that's a muscle that I kind of exercised a lot for 8 years. So I think there was clearly an advantage of having both ACE, and 844 system. And the transition was hard to say. I think I was just like, I got to a point where I was just telling my mom, because I remember actually how all of this happened was before we used to go to KAG. Somewhere, if you guys know,
Kenya
Assemblies of God. And I was excited because I was to go to St. Anne's Leoki. I was like, yes, I get to wear, like, they had cool uniform. I loved their uniform.
Well, that's where you were called to?
And that's why I was called to, St. Anne's Leoki. So then this opportunity came about. My mom was like, yeah, by the way, there's this thing. It's an American school. Do you want to try it out? I was like, you know what? Whatever, let's try it. We don't know. So applied. Then I was called for the interview. So my dad took me there, waited for me for like 2 hours, did the interview. I think we're around like, I don't know, we're a big number applying for it. And then went back home. And I think the next day my mom was called. She's like, yeah, your daughter has been selected to be part of the sponsorship program. So it was excitement. And then there was no, like, we didn't have uniform. So that was also like such a radical change, right? And here you're schooling with people from, like, you know, proper backgrounds, and here you are. So it was a very interesting, like, shift. It's messed up with my mind for like 2 months because I was like, Mom, I can't do this.
The fitting in
was so hard. The English, again, like, I didn't have, like, you know how they speak, hi, how are you? My name is how I speak now.
But here we are now.
I didn't have that before. So, like, I had to culture it because most of the time when you talk to people, they're like, excuse me. I'm like, I have said I am in standard one, you know? But, like, I think that was a very interesting place to be. But I think the getting used to it really helped to build my resilience and grit. And like I was so determined, like after my mom was like, you're sticking here because if you live here we don't know what will happen next, right? Struggling with school fees and stuff. So because most of like my primary school years, it was mostly like, you know, when the class teacher, I think it was a disciplinarian, comes in with like a list, these are the people who haven't paid school fees. I'm like, oh my gosh, embarrassment. So like this I had to, like, you know, ensure that I stick it out, because if I didn't, then probably these opportunities would not have been availed to me if I went to St. Anne's Leoki. But it was an interesting shift. I used to like lock myself in the washroom and cry because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what? No friends. But I think with time, like, got to make friends, got to understand how the system worked, really got to build now the muscle to successfully go through the 4 years in Roslyn.
Oh, nice.
What about the people who you actually wase mwenye mlingia na wao kwa hiyo mwenye wali get your scholarship
program?
So it was only one person.
Really?
Yeah. For every year you only get one kid who's sponsored.
I thought you had others mwenye maybe
we were all interviewing and then they select one. So after that you're thrown into the system and they see how well you adapt.
Oh wow, that's so okay. I also thought
that there's a prop.
I assumed maybe 10
or
just
20. Nyinyi 10 sasa
then now you become
it's a group. You know, that would have been so much better because like people
same experiences.
Okay, interesting. And then you joined USIU now?
Then I joined USIU.
I think it was also a good experience because USIU is also another very different place. Now I can imagine you're from St. Anne's Leoki joining USIU. But
I think going to Roslyn like also set me up well for USIU. Again, USIU is an American university, American based. So like even the things they were teaching, like already I was ahead of like the crop that was there. So at least it was like, for me, transitioning was not hard. Like I could have extra time to do other things just because like I'd built the muscle of analytical thinking, critiquing. So I think that was easy for me to pick up. And had awesome lecturers. So I really appreciate the school.
Speaking about awesome lecturers, my dad works there. Yeah.
Where?
In Roslyn Academy.
Oh.
Yeah. So venye amesema awesome lecturers, kwa like kwani anaongelea budangu.
Come on.
But he works there. Anafunza golf.
But back then we didn't have golf. We had volleyball, basketball, swimming. I think like in my second last year, that's when they built the swimming pool. Yeah, that was it. And hockey. Yeah, and badminton. I was like, what is badminton? Yeah, so badminton and lacrosse. First time I heard of lacrosse, I'm like,
What's
is
that?
lacrosse? It's a game where you kind of like you pass a ball through, like it's like a net thing. It's a bat, not really a bat. It's, how do I put it? You know what? Put a photo here.
Okay.
Of like a lacrosse.
They will.
Whatever equipment.
Yeah.
So basically, you pass the ball through like a net.
Okay.
Like that. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm curious, before joining university, did you get born again? At what point did you get born again?
So I got born again. I was the kid who used to get born again every single weekend.
Oh.
So in Kawas back then, like you guys remember Prismiro? Oh my gosh, she was like the celebrity. You had to
The in-pastor
like,
back then.
and then Maxima Melody. So I was like, I used to love Maxima
Oh my
Melodies.
melody.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, those guys used to sing, they used to dance. I'm like, they're so cool. I want to join Maxima Melodies.
Really, I think
Yeah.
we all had that dream.
I wanted to sing.
Here we are now.
Yeah, here we are now. But yeah, so we used to stay next to what's this thing called? There was like an area in West where people could come, the parking right now, where people could come and set up like crusades or whatever. So we used to stay very close, like literally 200 meters from that area. So anytime there's a crusade, Dorin was there. And who wants to get saved?
Me. Every single time.
And then the next time I've stolen sugar from my mom. I probably have lied to my mom. I'm like, I probably am not saved. So then when I go to church, when the pastor asks who want to get saved, again, me.
Yeah.
So it was like a cyclical kind of thing until once I really got to understand what salvation meant. I think I was around, when was I? Like around 8 or 9. I think around 8 or 9.
8 or 9, you
Debs.
understood.
Yeah.
Debs has the same story. Yes, she was 6.
Nilikuwa namuuliza, did you understand what salvation really means at that age?
We did, because clearly I was getting saved every day, every other week. I was like, I've sinned this week, Lord. I'm not saved. I've backslid. Yeah, but I think once I got to really understand was just before I joined class 4. I joined CU, so that was like around, I think that was 11 or 12. I don't know. Yeah, that's the age where we were joining like standard 4. So yeah, I think around then, like, and also before, like the church I used to go to, my mom like got me a really awesome Bible. So we had a really cool Sunday school teacher or pastor. So he would take us through like the Gospels. Like literally, we were doing expository study.
Oh wow.
Like as a Sunday school, so we'd go through like the book of John. We literally went through the book of John, and I think that really opened up my eyes and really got me to be serious with this thing called salvation. And understood like what Christ did on the cross. But that being said, with every passing day, when you open up the scripture, you like the love of Christ, the love of God towards us, it like hits you afresh every day. I can't say like once I did John, like I understood. Every single time I open up the scripture and study, like wow, like God considered me worthy of his favor, worthy of his grace. It just hits you all over again. But yeah, I think that was when my renaissance started, if I can say so. Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about USIU and the course that you did. You said you're a product manager. I said it right.
She said not
international business.
Yeah,
you said international business. Are those two the same thing? No,
different.
So you did international business in USIU. Okay, let's get into that. How? Why? And how did you end up at product management right now?
Yeah,
those are 2 worlds apart.
Yeah, but like you realize, like I think as some of the previous guests have said, like you kind of grow, like the skills that you have and you collect over time, like they kind of add up to who you are. So yeah, I did international business because I wanted to do law. So in my mind I was like, yeah, international business means I get to travel.
Why were you drawn to law?
Because I thought I could argue cases. I had the analytical thinking skills already, again from Roslyn. So I knew that that's something that I'd want to do. Again, Boston Legal. I was like, yes, Danny Crane, Alan Shore. I was like, cool. This is what I want to do, right?
We've had 2 lawyers on this set, and they say it's nothing
like the show.
Nothing like they show it online. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah. So
you were saved.
It was
A
a
little bit.
scam.
It would have been a disappointing.
It's a disappointing career
Yeah,
path.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, let me try out international business. So did that for 3.5 years. But I was pursuing I was dancing
Detour.
in the background. Detour, yeah. So that was also like, yeah, an interesting time. Because at some point I didn't go to church because I was like, KG was getting boring. So I stayed out for some time. And then now my sister was like, I started going to Bapo, and guess what? They dance. I'm like, maximum melodies, my dream.
That is what
I want to get to maximum melodies. So this was like the perfect way to get to maximum melodies. Prove my
Why
concept,
were
guys.
we
I can
obsessed with
dance.
those people?
Because they were the thing.
Oh my goodness.
They were the thing. Hey, those guys.
I'd like to know where they are right now. I'll actually Google that.
Yeah, Google that. So yeah, I was like, yeah, maximum melodies. So get into Detour. Guys were dancing. It was cool. So I kind of got back into church, and I'm mixing stories here with the dancing. But yeah, now going back to SIU. So mostly I would study, go to church, dance. Shout out to Johnny. Johnny was the one actually who brought me
Johnny
to
Whoops.
Johnny Whoops. Yes, he brought me into the fold and was like, yeah, you can dance, and like, yeah, I saw like guys can choreograph and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, after that, yeah, it was just basically school, church, school dance, church. Yeah.
So why international business?
Why international
did
business?
you choose?
Honestly, in USIU the options were limited. I couldn't do journalism. I don't think. Okay, in my mind then I was like, journalism, how will I make money, right? But again, I was thoroughly wrong because there are so many journalists who are doing it big out there. Then there was international relations. I'm like, I wasn't interested in like human rights and because back then you were like, international relations was like, yes, you're going to work in the UN. I'm like, yeah, I didn't have like those aspirations. Then accounting, I was like, I wasn't into accounting. Like I found it to be boring. My dad is an accountant, so but yeah, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do
He found
that.
a friend in that.
Yeah, Deborah also did a concentration in accounting, so I was like, I'm not doing accounting. So the only natural option for me was IBA and International Business Administration. So everyone, like, actually the year I was graduating, everyone was like, IBA. It was such a marketable course. So I think I just leaned more to it just because I didn't have any alternatives in USIU at that point in time.
Did you get to practice it after graduating?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
I
where?
did. So
what does international business
pretty much it's like how
do you
to how
fly
to
out?
no, that was what I
You
thought.
Because it's
Naively
international.
international, all right? I can handle all international
My
business.
passport is going to be stamped.
Little did I know. But anyways, so after I graduated, even before I graduated, I got an internship with IBM. So IBM is like a tech company. Have been there for the longest. I think guys back then know like the big computer that they built that everyone was making the rage about. So like even the barcode scanners as well, like that's also their innovation. So they've been there for 100+ years. I think probably 120 years.
Wow.
So got there, and obviously it was business machines, and it was beyond borders. So I had that knowledge of how international businesses work, how exactly I would plug into this, given like IBM it was literally all over the world, and kind of giving value to the business through what I had learnt in school. That's obviously IBA. So yeah, I got to like practice the little things that I learned. But you see, when you get into the workplace, many of the things that you've learned in school are either relearned or unlearned, depending on the business, because different businesses have different dynamics. For me, I joined first in HR, learning and development.
Anta Debs.
Hey, surely.
Debs aleko HR.
Hey.
And then now from there, after learning and development, I now got an into operations, so business operations. So that was more in line with what I studied in uni. After that, I think for like from 2014 to 2021.
2014.
Yeah, 2014 to 2021. I was in IBM. Started as an intern.
That's 7 years.
7 years. 7 years. of my life.
Immediately after university.
So actually, I started working before I graduated. So
at IBM.
Yes.
Oh wow.
So I had an internship, and then now they converted it to a full-time employee.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting, again, different culture shocks. Yeah. Because like again, this is a international business. It's like a proper tech company. You see like people driving in with like crazy cars, suits. I'm like, hey, I'm struggling. I'm like, hey, I need to have like official clothes. I was used to jeans and t-shirts again. Being a dancer, I didn't think through. Or now you have this other phase.
You need
life.
khaki pants.
I
you need some
pants.
and some
I need
blazers.
some pumps. It was an interesting transition. Worked there for 7 years, and then I've always wanted to get into like tech proper. By this I mean before I would just handle like the revenue streams of the business. How much are we selling? What our cost? What our cost looks like. So I wasn't really involved in like actually building a product. So I knew that I wanted to transition into product management. I have a pal of mine, shout out Sinji here. So I was like, this is so cool what you do. Like, what do you do? He's like, we pretty much decide when the apps that you have, like Instagram, like Facebook, there are product managers behind it. They have to decide, where do the buttons go? What's the workflow when you log in? How many questions should we ask you? Is it tiring for you? What information are we supposed to glean so that we make the product even better? I was like, that's so cool. I want to do that. And then tried applying, failed miserably. And then now in 2021, now got into product management, and the skills that I had built in IBM over the past like 7 years now came in handy. Came in handy. So I've been a product manager for, this is my third year. 2021, no, 2022, 2023. Third year.
Oh wow. So this is not
manager.
Something that you went to school for?
No.
You didn't study?
No.
It's pure interest.
And obviously skills aligning. So I got the opportunity and I took it with both hands and ran with it like Kipchoge.
Interesting.
The website we are currently building, Uko, you sent I don't know to call it a report ama an insight. I imagine tunatumia sai ku benchmark ama ku
really?
Clear the you remember like there's something you wrote then you sent and tunatumia sai unasema Dorin alisema hivi so fanyeni hivyo. It actually helped so much.
So anything that we see in apps, give me examples, because now
so like if you look at Instagram, someone decided that we should have stories. So I don't want to go through all the posts. I just want to see like the people that I want to follow. Like I want to know what's going on with Tracy's life. I want to know what's going on with Larry's life. Let's just have like very quick stories at the top of the page, and then if you want to go through posts, you can do that. So someone had to like think through that. They had to do some research and understand, okay, would someone like Tracy or Larry be interested in that? How many people would be interested in that? Does it make sense to have engineers building that into the app? So the product manager pretty much holds the vision of the product and strives to like understand, okay, if I put this new feature here, will we bring more people in? Will we retain Tracy, Larry, and then whatever features we're not using, they can think through, can we do away with those features completely? I don't know if you've noticed on WhatsApp. I noticed it recently, the new version. So they keep improving.
That's
so
why,
now it doesn't show typing up there. It's like someone is typing at the message bar. You can clearly see like when you're chatting with someone, you can see like 3 dots. Someone is like typing. Have you seen that?
I don't think I've updated mine.
You should update it. So those like small changes that make it a better experience for the user, that's ideally what a product manager does.
Oh, interesting. That's why every single time I don't update my apps very frequently, but enough kangamali ninaambiwa update to the new version, and then you get something else, even emojis.
Yes.
You find they're revamped. Oh, interesting. I don't know if you're comfortable to talk about some of the apps that you've worked on.
Wait, let me ask something. Okay. Like, you'd see, like, let's say my phone versus yours, like my fingerprint is here, and yours is a bit kohapa na yangu iko hapa. So the same thing.
So now we work. So a product manager works with two critical people. Okay, product manager works with all stakeholders, right? So number one stakeholder, we say it's the customer. So that's you and I, right? How can we make your experience on your phone better? So to do that, we need a UI UX designer. So the UI UX designer is going to do research together with the product manager.
Just like
so the UI UX designer is going to check, okay, if I lift the phone, does it make sense to put, and again, there's hardware designer and there's a software designer. So the hardware, let's start with the hardware. So the hardware would be like, okay, I'll put the 3 buttons on this side because it's more natural for someone to pick up the phone and turn on the phone. Other people will decide, let's put there are no buttons on this side. But the iPhone, I think, there are buttons on this side. Yeah. So, like, that's the work of the hardware designer to figure out what is most natural for a user. And you need to do some research, right? You can sit down, put people in a room and just observe how exactly do they interact with their hardware. Now, a software person would now just come and see, okay, how should the UI look like? Should we have a bright purple? Should we have a dull purple? Should we have a blue, right? Depending on who they're targeting and the messaging that they, or the branding they want for their application. So they'll decide, okay, these are the icons that we'll use. This is the workflow. When you select yes and you see like banner is coming, like those are part of the things that kind of make the experience delightful. But again, we need to validate those assumptions. Like, just don't assume that if we put banners everywhere, you're going to have, we call it stickiness. Someone is going to always come back to this app. So ideally, working through that entire workflow, the UI UX designer is going to say, okay, these are the designs. And then now the engineers are going to come in, obviously, as prescribed by the vision of the product manager, to say, okay, let's build this UI into something that's functional. Like when I click on this button, I expect to see Tracy's stories. If I click on this button, I should get an SDK push from M-Pesa. So putting all of those things together, that's a product manager, but they work closely with other people to bring this to life. Hardware, software. But again, depends. I'm not a hardware. I'm not in hardware. I'm mostly in software. So yeah, but someone who's working for Apple or Pixel, like they'd need to have someone who designs, first of all, the actual phone. And then now when you get onto it, I've gotten into my phone. Okay, what do I see? What's the workflow? I like to say workflow for me to be able to sign up to Gmail. How will I receive my messages? How will I access my contacts page? Now that's where a software UX designer comes in.
So as a you're in product management. So can you also develop apps? Do you have the knowledge?
So I don't code. I don't code.
Oh, it involves coding.
So engineers, they have to code. Only UI UX designers, they're the ones who they look at the prettiness or like the functionality of like what the person sees and how to draw them in. And then now the engineers come in, they code these things and bring it to life. So I don't code, but I'm a technical product manager, so I'd be able to understand, okay, these are the things that need to work together for Tracy to be able to get this functionality. We need to call certain APIs. Those are just like how, to make it very simple, this is how you interact with different systems. Like for example, for apps where it links you to M-Pesa, they communicate through APIs. And someone needs to design that entire flow and figure out, okay, if Tracy comes in, she wants to pay for a ticket for a concert that's happening in 2 weeks, we'll need to build in an M-Pesa integration into the app so that you don't have to it's not disjointed. It's a full experience that keeps you stuck on whatever application.
These are things I've never thought about, but it's really interesting.
So sooner or later you'll work with Clive.
Yes, actually, we normally talk a lot about languages. I ask him what languages he does. For me personally, I interact a lot with Python, JavaScript, React. So anything JavaScript, React, Python I've interacted with.
Java and Python. So his one is to build systems mostly.
Yes, it's a language to build the systems. Yeah. So that's what I do for fun. Okay, not for fun, for a living.
Pays your bills.
For a living. Pays my bills. Yeah.
Pays your bills.
Yeah.
So do you guys conduct surveys so that you can know what the customer wants, or how do you end up developing product. A product that is in favor of the client, because you can't just wake up and decide.
So there's two types of product managers, and I think for you to be a successful product manager, you need to have these two things. Number one, there's a gut feeling. And number two, there's obviously the research that you mentioned. So before you bring in a product, you first, obviously there's the CEO, right? The CEO says this is the direction, but you kind of have to figure out how do we achieve the goals of the CEO based on the products that we have. So after we have the product, like this is the product that we want to build, there are certain assumptions or hypotheses that we need to put together. So I'll say, like, I know there's a market for people who want to shop clothes online. So from there, we'll go with the UI UX designer and kind of gather feedback. Just have surveys, understand, even not only surveys, but also there's information that's out there. Like I can tell, 70% of people buy their clothes online, whether it's Instagram, blah, blah, blah. So that already is some sort of evidence that I can build my gut feeling on. And then from there, perform surveys, understand who would be the customer we target, what are they looking for, what convenience would they want to see on the app, and then based on all those assumptions, we then bring that back, build out a flow for the app that would make the most sense, and then from there, go to the engineer, say, okay, make this thing work, because again, these are just diagrams we've built out with the assumptions that we've gotten from the market. And then from there, what's this thing called? The engineers would then come in, make it functional, and then now we take it back to the market and kind of gauge, okay, are people interested? What are the things that we missed during our initial research? And from there, kind of decide, okay, do we pivot completely? Our assumptions totally incorrect? And then when you validate your assumptions, and now you can now keep iteratively building from there. Because people love Instagram, people love WhatsApp. Facebook is kind of going down the drain, because I guess it's kind of like a generational thing.
Facebook, we have to mention our director, Mike, the only Gen Z on Facebook that actually understands Facebook.
I think like also you have to look at the age groups as well. There's some apps that are really big for a certain age group, like Gen Zs. Definitely don't give them Facebook. Gen Z, give them Instagram or Snapchat, TikTok. TikTok. So now from there, maybe Instagram. Right now, actually, what they're trying to do is understand how is TikTok working, how they're able to draw the Gen Zs and kind of building in certain features that they didn't have on Instagram that are on TikTok into Instagram. So that's also part of it. You also have to look at your competitors.
I've seen a lot of TikTok features on Instagram.
Similarities,
yes. Because if it's appealing to the age group that they're targeting, as a product manager, I have to also not be blind. That's also part of research, right? You look at your competitors. Okay, are they drawing numbers? Can I also do the same and try and replicate the masses that are being pulled into TikTok, into Instagram, for example?
So you also have to be really out there in terms of trends that are
you look
online.
At trends, you look at research, you're just pretty much trying to learn your customer so that whenever you release an app, and before I even go there, how many apps do you guys have on your phone?
So many.
And how many do you have?
Around 60.
60. How many do you use each day? What are the apps you use in a given day? What do you always have to open?
When I open my phone,
you've woken up in the morning, what do you?
X, WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram. Okay, no, X, TikTok, Instagram, WhatsApp.
And that's probably what you would do for the entire day. Maybe M-Pesa? Maybe.
Yeah.
Only when transacting.
It's even on my home screen. M-Pesa lazima ikuwe hapo.
So for you as well.
Yeah, I think it's my most used app.
Yeah, so you see now for other product managers, like we need to, and also we can't also be in the same niche, like Instagram, WhatsApp. Those are like, it's a people kind of app. You're interacting with people all the time. But ideally, all those other apps, you probably never open them. So why did you even download them in the first place?
You see, I even get notifications that one app has not been used in 60 days. I think we need to shut it down. Shut it down. Shut it down.
So now the product manager needs to think through, how can I ensure that you use my app?
Okay.
Not necessarily every day, because again, there are things that you don't have to use every day, but at least you don't get to a point where you're like, I haven't used the app in like 60-70 days, because that ideally shows me that you really were not my target market, and this app doesn't make sense. And if you were my target market, what can I do to make you fall in love with the app even more?
So you also you do not deal with the icons, how the icons look like? That's the UI UX designer, but the product manager, again, being the visionary of the product, you're the one who gets to say, I want this, I don't want this, and also you can support it with research, right? Because we rarely see icons evolving. It takes a long time because Instagram ilikuwa inakaa vibaya kitambo and then right now it looks very appealing,
very cool.
So before they move, they have to really think about it.
Brand recognition, because you see, you just don't want to make snappy changes. We knew Facebook as this. When you're making the decision to rebrand, you better have proper research or proper backing for you to be able to make that shift. Similar to how before it was Twitter, and now it's X, and it took time
really
for people
to know Elon Musk's team.
What were they thinking? Yeah, because the CEO maybe said, I want it to be X. So product manager needs to work with that. And most of the time, actually for a long time, guys are still stuck on Twitter. But right now, guys have moved on. Okay, not entirely, but still, right now guys are saying X. Like it's kind of now etched in people's brains. So before you make a shift, like we're going to go with this brand, you kind of have to think that through. Because Safaricom can't wake up and say we're no longer Safaricom.
They have a problem. They should also rebrand.
So
they know why.
So yeah, all these decisions you need to make them with active thinking around, like, okay, how long will it take to reposition the brand in the client's mind? Are they going to still and also you ask yourself, why are you rebranding in the first place, right? I think for Elon it was basically he needed a new era. Like Twitter had a lot of censorship issues, and maybe for him he wanted it to be seen like as a platform where everyone can air their views. That probably was the motivating factor. And then you think through, okay, how long will it take for people to accept the brand and have it etched in their minds? Right now, I think they call it X. I don't know what you guys are still on Twitter. Yeah,
I see ads and it's written X, then into bracket, formerly Twitter.
I still call it
Twitter.
I still call it Twitter unless it's in official business. Like here, I can't call it Twitter. If it's on official business, it's X, because you can be.
Tunapromote Twitter sana.
They can actually attack you for that.
That's why we get all our news. So for me as well, like News X, I literally don't watch. Like,
so as a product manager, you work a lot hand in hand with website developers. Do people come to you for when developing their websites, like what can I have on my website that is appealing to clients? Where do they do that?
We reached out to her actually. That's what I was talking about.
Okay.
And she gave us an insight, and that's what we are using.
Okay, interesting. That's nice. Okay, I didn't get to know that. No, okay. I don't know if you're comfortable to talk about some of the interesting things that you've assisted these companies to. Some of the products we've been able to come up with and change. Maybe we do know them or we don't.
Probably not. So, because I work in the agricultural space. So unless you guys are farmers, which I highly doubt.
Wakulima wadogo.
Yeah, you guys know for sure. You guys, I'm sure. Both of you are not.
I would be interested in the future. Honestly.
Okay. So basically, in the agricultural space, we figured out a way where we can sell input, and input here, like, your fertilizer, your seed, to the customer without them having to go to an agrovet store. Right, because right now, I don't know if you guys, mnajua ukulima nyenye
kidogo.
Mini plant dad. Kuna succulents.
So ideally,
wait, you are a plant dad, you're not even 30. You're not 30-year-olds, no.
I have succulents in my windows. Mlango, I have pots.
30-year-olds in your plant dad. They're so proud. Especially the ones who don't have families yet.
Natokanga na jembe. Sijaota my plants.
My babies.
Narudi na water.
So basically, so for this agri agri company, we figured out, okay, how can Tracy be able to select the products that she wants, register herself, locate an agrovet that's near her, or a shop that's near her, and select whatever she wants. And that's also like recommendations, because ideally whatever inputs or whatever seed that works here will not necessarily work in the western part of Kenya.
Yeah.
So built all of that into the app. And yeah, it all started as an idea. We brought it to life, and many guys in that, because again, as a product manager, you have your target market, right? Facebook is for oldies, Instagram is for youngies.
Yeah.
So for us, we are targeting wakulima.
Yeah.
And so for that particular market, they said this is something that is very, very important to them and has really helped alleviate a lot of the troubles they would go through to get input to their farms. And where I work, we normally say that it's about farmers first. So anything that drives the value of their output, we are all about that. So when we get that feedback from the farmers that we serve, I think that brings joy to my heart, because like I was part of improving the livelihood of kulima somewhere in the western part or in the central part of Kenya who didn't previously have this convenience accessible to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I ask my question?
You can ask your question.
Hii mambo ya agriculture, so target mostly ni our farmers na wase wako mashinani. Mna handle ajeka jumika gukangu hata na smartphone akona ile ya kuflip. So how
Wow.
so na ni preference ati ni kusota and just old age ima ataki mambo ya screen anataka button. So how do you go about that? Ama yo app yenu? Okay, just tell me about it.
Yeah, so part of the research that we did obviously is to understand like the guys who buy inputs farm are typically 40, 45, although it is 60. And while we're building the app, we had to ensure that whatever app we're making also makes sense for them, something that's relatable for them. So when you see like a certain icon, like if you see a basket, everyone would relate that to we are shopping, right? If we see a truck, right, someone will relate that to delivery. So before we put out the final version of the app, we would go to the fields, sample everyone from the 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, observe how they're using the app, where they are running into problems. If they're running into problems at a certain point, we go back to the team and iterate so that we are sure that whatever we're putting out makes the most sense for them. So that's the first part, making the application very friendly, even to people who are not digitally literate. Now, the second thing as well is we also understand that for me, maybe my folk is farming, but I have a smartphone. I can also order for my parent, right? So that also helped to break the barrier and introduce another, should I say, another user to the application. It's not necessarily only the person who's farming. Someone else can order for like your folks. So that's also a niche that we looked at. And then finally as well, like watu huko nje, they're progressive. There are also a lot of 45, 50 to 60-year-olds who use smartphones.
Yeah.
Like my mom uses a smartphone, and for her, I actually taught her this is how you order.
You don't start to get those questions.
Nyumba yenu kila mtu ni wa tech. So
Oh yeah.
So
Apende
there's a lot
asipende.
of people who can explain to her. But I told her, now, like, no, I'm not going to be ordering for you anymore. You get in. This
she's
is
in
the app.
agriculture.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
She farms. Yeah,
Oh,
they
wow.
farm. Yeah. So she basically also was my guinea pig when I was building this out. I'm like,
That
what do you
is
think?
exactly
What
what
do
I
you think?
wanted to
What do you
ask. Did you create
Yeah.
anything from her?
yeah, exactly.
She tells
I'm
you
like,
something, and then like,
she's like,
yeah, that's
she's
a
like,
good.
think about this other idea.
Oh,
So as well,
wow.
like that's part of learning from your customers.
Okay. Okay.
So it's not that's a good question.
Okay.
Nimetoka ku Google maana agriculture because we're talking about farming and all of that, and mbona livestock rearing is also part of agriculture. So you'll have that bit.
No, not for now. We have inputs, but we have not really delved into like what information does a livestock farmer need to have. We haven't really gone into that. Right now we are pretty much on the agrarian side.
Yeah, farming.
Yeah, farming.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. But very soon I think we'll move into that,
Oh, yeah.
because that's also an interesting feedback that we've received from our users, like tell me about poultry, tell me about livestock. So I think that's an interesting area that we'll probably need to explore very soon.
So I am not a farmer. I can still download your app and get to learn about the different kinds of farming that Ziko.
And you can order for your farming aunt or farming uncle or farming mom.
Oh wow.
Yes, so you don't necessarily need
I
to
don't
be
have
there.
are you a farmer?
User. I'm not a farmer, but I aspire to be.
Oh, so wait, is it the app that really makes you want to delve into farming, or it's something that has been there?
Right now, it's just pretty much an enabler, because we're trying to fill a gap. Again, like in product management, you try and also understand what gaps there are for you to build or satisfy that need with whatever you bring to the market. So for us, it was just pretty much, can we fill that gap? And we found the perfect niche that people had not yet explored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you have the app on your phone? I'd like to.
Not on this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Ningetaka sana kuona
I'll
hiyo.
show you. I'll show you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know maybe we have a few farmers who are watching and they'd want to learn a thing or two. Personally, I know I'd want to learn za kupanda sukuma. Yeah, that's something I really want to do.
Actually, there's sukuma seeds actually on the app, by the way. So
okay.
When my mom was walikuwa wanachora plan ya nyumba yao, alijekia kashamba hapo kasukuma. Nasema ni ya sukuma na vitunguu.
And also when you introduce the livestock bit, I think I'd want to, because I'd want to rear chicken. Mimi napenda kuku.
Poultry actually that's something
and cows
that they are exploring livestock. For sure. Yeah.
Those are the two
for
things.
Business ama
both, but mostly for cows. Cows, because I like tea, and milk in future is going to be very expensive. And chicken, I like eggs. Love eggs. So naweza kuwa hustler kama huyu wenu, niuze mayai, nitajirike. Maybe I will become a billionaire like him, legit business legit. I'm not throwing shade.
Did you naongelelea nani?
You don't know the guy who's been selling chicken?
Yeah, hustler. You don't know him? Okay, interesting.
But pia producer wetu alikuwa na kuku. Tena kwake, ni mkulima alikuwa na kuku kwake.
Mkulima, so he can also benefit from the app.
Anafaa kuja akae hapa.
Aulize maswali, useme nini unataka kuona kwa app. Maybe Dorin might listen and just develop something. So now you said, okay, this was before we started recording, you said you work from home.
Yeah, work from home.
Really, you don't visit the office a lot?
Only when I need to. So the beauty of where I work is, and I think COVID really changed how things operate. So I think once people realize, you can actually work from home and stuff gets done. So I think many of the companies kind of shifted their policies around, you have to be in the office. Some have remained in the Stone Age, but I think thankfully where I work, they don't really require you to be in the office, only when it's absolutely necessary. And for me as well, like I spend most of my time at the field, right? Because I have to make the customer is the person I'm building for. So I'm not, even if I was in the office, I'd mostly not be in the office. I'd just be like going out to the field, meeting the Tracies, the Larrys, the hustlers, and just like kind of figuring out what makes the most sense for them, and taking that feedback back and putting strategies in place to bring this to life.
Okay. Yeah. So is there a plan where you can have not agents, but maybe an office in the western side for people who can't access internet?
They
are farmers, but they don't want smartphones.
If they don't want smartphones, so the beauty of where I work, we have different channels. So you can access our services through various touch points. One is the mobile app, which is what I concentrate on. The others are through like field officers who then can just like take your information. You don't necessarily have to have internet. You don't necessarily have to have a smartphone. But again, like with every channel, you target a specific person. You should have a person or a couple of people in mind that you're building for, so that when whatever is hitting the market, or whatever you want to hit the market with, it doesn't flop because you already have done your due diligence. So we also have other services that cater to such a person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you travel a bit?
Yeah.
You find yourself Western kidogo?
Western.
Kwa Murima.
Kwa Murima, Sagana. So yeah, I travel a lot in the country and also outside just
So
to like.
you know quite a lot
customer.
about agriculture right now.
Yes,
you
because,
have to.
Yeah, I have to.
You know all the fertilizers that
I
are
know them
needed.
in mind. If
You
you,
know-
ask me, I'll be like, hey,
you know this one does not-
I know.
You know this one does not work well in dry, whatever. That's why you were saying the same fertilizer can work in Nairobi but not in Western.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. And
Let me ask, is this app like one of your best projects or a dream product?
Is it a best project? I mean, it's the first project I embarked on as a product manager.
Tell us about it.
About the project. So I think I was brought in for that specific assignment, and we had to turn it around within a year. Again, it was just an idea in someone's mind. Guys had not really figured out, how do we bring this to life? What kind of design do we need to have in place? Who are the people we're targeting? Is there an appetite for it? Can old people use smartphones? Does it even make sense to? So I think those are the questions that we're battling with. And once we kind of figured out the nuances, and I got to meet the end customers and seeing their eyes brighten or light up because of the innovation that was to be rolled out. I think I knew when I saw that we had hit the jackpot in a particular market. So yeah, I think it's been an interesting project, and again, first project as a product manager, and I think we kind of had all the good recipes for success.
is there a particular product you'd really like to?
I would be quite interested to manage aspects of Netflix.
Kuna vitu hazikubambi?
Not even that. It's just that, how do you get people hooked up that much? Like, you see, also product management is also about psychology.
Yeah.
I think you had Steve here.
Yeah, we
talked
did.
about psychology. And I think probably you have a marketer here who'll talk about branding. But like, even Instagram itself, like, I wouldn't want to manage Instagram, but like, how to get people hooked on your app for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours.
TikTok, please.
TikTok.
Or TikTok.
Please, TikTok.
Or TikTok, yeah. TikTok is actually it's very interesting because there's so many different like users. Like there's some who are just there purely for entertainment, others are there for education. So it's also like that's also something that's also a product I'd want to manage, because I just want to understand the psyche of the human mind and what gets them hooked and what keeps them on your app, or what are they willing to share about themselves that is, I guess, beneficial to humanity or not. Mostly it's or not in the social media side, but
it's not the healthiest.
Yeah, it's not the healthiest. But yeah, I'm just curious, like how, like if you add one specific feature, you see like Tracy's use of the app goes from 2 hours to 2.5 hours. Like just like looking at those data points, I think that would be interesting to see.
I look at my app usage and it's like crazy. When you shikanisha, because on break you're on TikTok or on Instagram just checking updates nini. Combine hizo 2 minutes. At the end of the day you spend like 4 hours like gay.
Yeah.
What when you don't have a life on Instagram? Kwani what else? What?
They've managed to hook you in.
Social media is wrong. So if you do that, tunaweza understand and we'll know what to avoid or what not to do, which is not what you want. But I mean, okay. So back to, you work from home a day in your life, because now you don't work a lot in the office.
So a day in my life, wake up by 5:30. I don't know why I wake up by 5:30. We normally crack jokes, like everyone who's like a CEO, they're like, how to be a CEO.
Yeah, 5 a.m.
4 a.m., 3 a.m., go to the gym like our producer here. Do like 2 hours and then
by the time I'm waking up at 7 a.m., you've done like a million things.
Exactly.
Like, pressure by the way.
I know, but guys, that's not the recipe for success.
Anyway, thank you. Say that again.
Tell him otherwise.
The gym. Stoicism. Anyways, so wake up at 5:30, pray, read my Bible, and then from there just like prepare the home, and then I'll sit down. But around 8:30, I'm already at my desk, kind of like map through everything that's like high priority for me, and then now get into the intricacies of the day. Mostly like, again, as a product manager, you're managing so many stakeholders, right? So you're managing your customer, you're managing the business as well, right? Because you can't have a product manager if you don't have like a CEO or someone who's giving the direction for the entire organization. So you have to align with that, such that whatever you're building is also not going to receive pushback within the organization. And meeting engineers. So engineers also need to understand, first of all, why am I building what I'm building? And then also explore ideas, how should we have a certain functionality built into the application. And then also like obviously UI UX, they're also developers, like we kind of work through research, what is the research saying, how can we solve this problem in an interesting way, because as I said, product management is largely driven by data. You have to understand not only from your customer, but also from like the trends. Like you can just open up, like there's analytical tools that we can just open up and see, okay, usage dropped by this amount, or there are many bugs that have come up. I don't know if you guys have noticed like a bug in WhatsApp. So a bug is pretty much something that's wrong, BUG, something that's wrong with an application. Maybe it's not, there's a time M-Pesa was not working, so that's like a production incident.
Wait, there's a time, okay, I don't know if it's my WhatsApp, okay? The WhatsApp updates, what we call stories and statuses, zinajipanga in different times.
So that's a bug. So that's like ideally when the application is not being displayed in the way that it should, or not working in the way that it should. So there are also those incidences.
That's the job of a product manager?
So product manager would see like there's a bug in the product, and you need to pull everyone in who needs to solve
or especially
that
the software engineers and all that.
Software engineers. So you have an incident manager maybe who like would notice this, and then you just ensure that your product is working as it should be, because again you have key metrics that you need to be able to meet as a PM. Like probably I'll say like I want the number of transactions to be X per day, and if you look at the M-Pesa app, how many transactions are they able to push in a given day? No offense, but most of my time my M-Pesa app does not work. I have to use my Safaricom app.
Yeah, true.
So like those are the questions that you'd be asking yourself as a product manager. If I'm only doing like making 2,000 transactions a day, how can I drive it up? That means I need to make my app more available, and I need to build in ways in which I can detect whenever the app goes down, so that we are proactive in ensuring there's like uptime on the app. So yeah, that's basically my day. And then end of the day, you have your stand up, you meet with everyone in the team, what have they accomplished for the day, and then keep planning alongside like your roadmap. What do you want to achieve in the next 1 year, 2 years? And then from there, take actions to get you to that place.
Okay.
So that's like my typical day.
Okay. We've talked a lot about Dorin, the product manager, and Larry now I know wants to really take over this next part of our conversation, and that is the car enthusiast, the love of speed, races and all of that. Larry alimuintroduce kama the fastest lady in East Africa.
Let's just say driver.
Fastest driver. Oh, it's both genders.
Yeah.
Hey, when him Noma. When him Noma.
Gonna superstar.
Let's talk not a little. Let's talk about when did your interest in cars and speed and all of that start?
Even before she answers that, you see when amesema ni God, so you're there her race ukamevaa shati imeandikwa Jesus is King.
Imagine
so now people are actually saying like literally ni God, because you can see ni God. Can now go on.
So how did you grow up around cars? When interest ilianza wapi?
So didn't grow up around cars. I actually had no interest in cars. My dream car was a Kluger, a Toyota Kluger.
Oh God,
it's so ugly.
I know. God,
I know. And just like I want a Toyota Kluger,
and it's a dream car.
That was my dream car. I didn't know much about cars, right? Okay. So I think the interest started in around 2018. So my husband was the one who used to drag me for these events.
Najua nilikuwa nimeambiwa hiyo story so niko like ziki-conflict
Problems. Yeah, so I used to drag me for these events. So first of all, yeah, my first car was a Nissan Note. So I was like, yes, I'm accomplished. Yeah, got a car. So I used to look at it before going to work. I'm like, must I drive it? See, I'm used to matatu. I just go. I'm like, oh my gosh, the madness on the road.
You buy a car and then you take a mat.
Yeah, so I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't do this. So finally, again, he taught me how to drive. Was patient with me, like this is how you should be aware on the roads. So yeah, finally got used to my Nissan Note, right? Because I knew I needed a car that I can bang up a lot, because you're told as a learner you're going to bang up a car
yeah.
I'm like, I didn't.
You don't start with a Subaru.
You don't start with a Subaru, yeah.
Don't start with a Golf R.
So got used to the car, and then I think in when did I get the car? 2017, maybe 2018. 2018, yeah, 2018. Then now I was like, okay, I used to find like VW Golfs, they look so nice.
They do.
So
They
like,
really do.
yeah, so I was like, I want this car, but like I was so broke. I'm like, hey, all that money
I
for
can
just
know.
2 liter. So I was like, hey, God, see me. So yeah, finally, I think God allowed me to get one. I think all my savings, everything in that car. I remember
hapo ndo kachukulia KCR sasa.
Yeah, not the KCI, the GTI. So the Max 6 GTI. So finally I got the Golf, and then everything was in that car. So I was like, my God, I barely had money for fuel
Back home.
but the joy that it gave me, because like the steering was so it was so like firm in comparison to like the
Note.
Note. I was like, hey, this is how cars are supposed to feel, right? Oh Lord. And then the throttle was so responsive. So now that's where it started.
Throttle.
The throttle.
Umshaanza, okay.
Hajasema mafuta.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
It was so responsive. So I was like, okay. Got there, parked the car. I'm like, oh, it was a nice experience. And then I think first service I will not forget. So I went and I was hit by a bill of like 40k. Like, what?
Service.
I was like, did I make the right decision? You know, from a note, so it's like 5k, 6k, max. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I'm like, did I make the right decision? But then I think once we started discovering things like, okay, this is where I should get my oil. This is where I should get my spark plugs, my filters. It's like the cost drastically dropped.
To 39.
I no. No, now at least 6k, 7k. Now it's back to note level.
Oh.
People actually even was like, do not get a Golf, it's going to
Expensive.
But then I got it, and it was a dream. Like I never had issues with my Max 6 GTI. So I think I did one race, entered a race, I think under the wing of Anwar, for those of you who know him. He used to be like a rally driver.
Oh yeah. That name sounds
So
so
I
familiar.
was like, I'm interested. I'm like, it's a front wheel driver. But then I did it, and
So you
I
got the
enjoyed
case,
it.
you got the GTI mwaka gani?
I got the GTI, I think end of 2017, if I'm not wrong. End of 2017. Or I did the race in 2019. I'm mixing up my dates. One of the two. So a year after I had it, that's when I got the...
I tried to determine nimekuwa fan wako kutoka lini. 2017.
Loyal one.
So yeah, did the race, enjoyed it. But then now took a back seat. I think back then was like, guys were building their cars.
Had you modded your car then?
I had done little. I hadn't done too much. I just did like an air intake, an intercooler, and I did wheels. I didn't do too much. It was just enough, and a stage 2 tune. Yeah, just to make it snappy. So after that experience and seeing what other guys are doing, I knew I had to change now the platform to something that can handle drag racing. So for me, I fell in love. I loved the Mach 7s. The Mach 7 is the generation that the Golf generation that I drive. And I just loved like how edgy it looked. And then I was like, Mach 6 is like round. I'm like, no, I want something edgy. And I was like, I want a Mach 7. So the next question was, do I want a GTI or do you want a Golf R? So Tracy, for your information.
Please, thanks.
So the Golf has different variants, if I can say so. There's a 1.4 liter, probably most of what you see on the road. Then now there's the performance Golf. So there's like the 2-wheel drive. Basically, think of a 2-wheel drive like they can only run with 2 wheels. Yeah.
Hizo
So,
zingine?
hizo zingine,
Four.
now the Golf R can run on all
Oh,
four.
okay.
So it sends power to
All four wheels.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so whenever you ask, yeah, like that's a GTI,
Yeah.
that's just a Golf. So now you know.
You know, I know.
And so yeah, so I was like, I wanted a Golf R. That was 2020. Did I got it 2022? Yes, I got the Golf R in 2022. So randomly, I just told one of my friends, I think it was in TSI Club. I'm like, hey, I've seen this nice Golf Rs. They had started getting in to the country. I'm like, hey, I want this Golf R, but can I afford it? Yes. So I was like, I talked to this guy. I'm like, hey, I'm interested in a Golf R. Actually, no, there's a friend of mine, Justin. He's like, by the way, I know you've been interested in Golf Rs. Is this guy who's selling? Just talk to him. I'm like, can I?
You're being it, huh?
You're being Tesana. I was like, okay, fine. Let me call the guy. Guy's like, yeah, you want it? Actually, come now. Let's go for a test drive. So I went for a test drive. And I was sold. Like,
Immediately.
I was sold. It had heated seats. Ooh. It had like proper AC. Oh my gosh. I was like, this is a car. And then it just felt premium in the inside. So I was like, hey, I want this car. So I talked to him. He's like, don't worry. You just bring your GTI and then you take the Golf R. And then you now top up the rest. I was like, yes, please. I made that decision in one weekend. One weekend, test drove it. By Sunday, I'd already told him I want the car. He's like, yeah, come take the keys. Yeah. So it was that quick. And then now from there, then I was like, okay, now I want to get into the racing scene, and obviously that takes time, development. So for the first year, I took it easy.
How do you choose a garage?
For me, there's a time I had coolant issues with my Mach 6 GTI. So I was referred to Seymour Rescue Garage. They did a great job, and from then on, I've never left. So I think for me, it's
Honda Balerion.
No, so that's Rescue. Balerion is now a tuning company. So they pretty much now tune the car software. So hardware, Rescue, and then
So he's the guy
that
there's a guy found akotoa hapo ndani na laptop kwa gari yako.
Yes. So they pretty much could, again, back to software. So like, how does the car run? You see, like, also that requires software, right? There's someone who designs, this is how the seats are. There's someone who designs, like, on the software side, when you press the throttle like this, what should the car do? When oil level goes beyond a certain point, let's send a notification to the driver. Again, so it's all interconnected. It's all tech.
ECU.
Yes, okay. The ECU is the brain of the car. So it holds all the logic of the car. So that's why when you maybe like click on the open button on your key, it will open up. Someone has to code that into the ECU or the computer.
Ukiona msame kamnala pia ameconnect kwa ECU. Sasa anaifanya mambo.
Anaifanya mambo. Ndio sasa now you're able to logically direct the car to do certain things that were not originally in the car.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why you choose a garage. But yes, what was I saying before? I think I was talking about like, did not do too much. And then did my first race 2023 actually. I decided to go at it like stock form. I had not changed anything. I just wanted to be able to benchmark the car against what other people are doing. Did quite well. I had issues, but did quite well. So I think from there I was like, okay, now it's time to go all in on this thing. So that's my journey into where we are now.
Racing.
Yeah.
How is the gender balance in the racing?
Gender balance is non-existent. I think for the longest time before I got in, there was shout out to Jennifer Malik. So Jennifer Malik used to like represent back then. And she did a great job. So I was like, okay, maybe I can get into this. And then when I got in, she took a break. I'm like, but then now I think we are both in it.
The producer is like, I know her.
So now we are both in it, and very happy to say, because for the longest time when I was being dragged back then to go for those events, like ladies were there, but
me dragged kama pan.
Yeah, but ladies were there, but they weren't there.
Nimeshika saidi.
She's into drag racing.
Nimeshika hiyo job. Wow. Okay.
Ladies were there, but they weren't. Like,
as active.
Yeah, not even active. They're there, but unajua unamalizia uko chini as a lady. So guys are like, yeah, big up, you participated.
Ooh.
So me, I didn't want to be like someone of like, yeah, big up,
Shirley
you're a girl.
Shirley can't drive.
It's like, yeah, big up, you participated. For the longest time it was like that. Actually, there's other ladies who are there. Like there was I remember a lady called Rose Rop, Shelina. So there are guys who used to race, but like, you know, it's a lady who participated, good. But like, I didn't want it to just be like that, because it's a male-dominated sport. And one of my goals was like, at least even for the race that ended 2 weeks ago, like, I just want to be top 10. But then God was like, here you go. So yeah, I think it's just been something that has not been embraced by a lot of ladies, and I hope many ladies are going to come and join this scene, because it's so fun and cool. Just like
Safari rally. Are you interested?
Jennifer Malik is actually she's a rally driver.
Really? I only know Maxine,
she's a rally driver.
The Maxine lady who
and okay. There's Maxine, but like in our tarmac racing scene, Malik, I think she's done rally racing. You can follow her by there on Instagram. She's called Jennifer Malik. Really, really cool driver. Really cool lady. So
what's the difference between tarmac racing and rally?
Rally, you go off tarmac.
So
you can go like in Naivasha, where it's like, you know, dust and rocks and whatever. And then there's different stages. So it's like for proper professionals.
Is that something you'd want to do?
It would be interesting.
I think Larry anaweza endelea. Najua kuna swali anataka kuuliza, lakini sitaki ulize. We are running out of time. You also have somewhere else to be. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
I hope it was fun. I hope atuja kubo.
Hapana.
You are willing to come back again and talk about cars?
Yes.
Yes, actually.
Cars and God.
Cars and God, yes. Yes. Any day.
Any day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Larry Atawe, thank you for being here.
Let me tell you one sad thing. Stay experience how fast her car is. Because akiresa anakuanga tu na kiti yake kwa gari. Ashatoa viti zote ako tuna yake.
Viti zinaweza toka?
Viti zinaweza toka.
Najua ninaboona wako iset wako this woman. Who is this lady? Anyway,
so it's only her seat. So.
But it's a good perspective, because you see, those are the same questions that I had before. It's something that you grow and learn. So yeah, do not make anyone make you feel like you're less off for asking questions. Okay. That's why you start.
Umesikia mwache kuni ninawasikia. Anyway, wacha mimi nimalize show. Dorin anataka kututoroka. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to Dorin. If you've enjoyed the episode, and I know you have, please like, share, and subscribe. Oh my goodness. Subscribe. Follow us on our Instagram, on our TikTok, on Songa Play. Are we on Apple Play? Someone asked me if we are on Apple Play. Not yet. We really should.
Spotify.
Niko na marafiki wako na iPhone. Na hata producer wetu wako na iPhone, na sisi mbona hatuko. Anyway, I think that's the
producer wetu hata anataka saa kukuja atutolee simu zake zote.
That's the next thing we're going to do. So please do so. Continue supporting us. Thank you so much for the feedback, and we hope to see you on the next episode. So adios.
Bye bye.